Hello, warriors. Welcome to the U Movement. I am B. I wanted to hop on today and talk about something that has been spinning around in my mind for a little bit. Because on this awakening journey that I have found myself on and in extracting myself, escaping from a very narcissistic situation, one of the things on the healing path that's addressed and said over and over and over again is you have to forgive. Well, what if forgiveness is dangerous? When is forgiveness dangerous? And I want to talk about that because if you are like me and you were raised in a narcissistic household, you learned that you had to forgive for survival. The narcissistic parent would rage, would gaslight, would abuse, would neglect, would whatever energies that you were presented with. And then for your very survival, you had to wash that away and show up in energy of forgiveness almost right away so that you would get fed, so that you would be safe, so you would feel secure. So there's a programming at play for children of narcissistic parents or parents of self-absorbed parents that don't see that what their behavior is doing is harmful. And therefore, there's this programming that comes into play where a negative situation happens, a difficult traumatic event happens that causes, over time, long-term complex post-traumatic stress disorder. But you need to forgive right away. So you actually learn as a knee-jerk reaction that forgiveness is an immediate thing that happens. And so when you go through life and you attract in this type of energy over and over again, because that is reenactment abuse, it's what you are pre-programmed to do. You feel safe in this energy, that it feels familiar to you to be in fluctuating, Jekyll and Hyde kind of energy, where 1 minute they're this face and the next minute they're another face. And so you're just always hoping that they're going to return to the kinder face and keep the monster face at bay. And so you forgive over and over and over again. You forgive. It's like an impulsive forgiving. And what I have found on my journey in retrospect and looking over the last 15 years is how many times I forced forgiveness into a situation because what narcissistic individuals do is when you call them out on their behavior, if they haven't stonewalled you or shut it down or just waited enough time for time to pass through silence treatment, showing up the next day like, hi, how are you? How's everything? Why are we still talking about that? That was yesterday. Like, why are you harping on that? If those energies aren't at play, perhaps what's at play because you've called them out on something and this time you've really caught them in something and they start future faking of, I'm sorry, you're right, I'm going to change, I'm going to go to counseling, I'm going to address these issues, so they start promising you all the things that you have been promised. And so you go, okay, I forgive this last whatever it was. Was it raging? Was it passive aggressiveness? Was it manipulation? Was it, inappropriate spending? Whatever it was that is become at this point repetitive. And you get angry enough to say, hey, no, this is unacceptable. I'm drawing a line. I'm out of here. I'm going to leave. This isn't working. And then they start immediately going into the future faking. And so you forgive, and so you forgive, and so you forgive. And over the last 15 years, I kept forgiving. There wasn't an absence of forgiving. What there was an absence of keeping an erect boundary. When a threat was made that I was going to leave, I didn't carry through because it would go issue, don't do this. Okay, please forgive me. I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm going to get counselor. Promise, promise, promise. Okay, I forgive you. I'm going to have faith and I'm going to come back into it. So forgiveness is actually exceptionally dangerous because what it does is it sucks you back into an abusive situation over and over and over again. I threatened to leave. I don't even know how many times. And then for a while, you'd get all the love bombing and the hoovering energy that would suck you right back in. The insanity of it is like mind-boggling to me now, because even though it took me so many, and I tell this story so that you are aware of how difficult it is to extricate yourself from abusive situations. In 2019, December 2019, I had my first wake up. So my spiritual awakening had already began, but that's when I had the wake up call, when I heard Spirit very clearly speak to me, save yourself. And I don't know what it was exactly that had triggered this reaction. I remember coming in to my ex-husband's bedroom because he had taken over the master suite. It was his man cave / bedroom. That's his space. And I was in a guest room. And I came in to ask something or address something like always. And I got the same response as always that felt like banging my head against the wall. And I went back into my room and started to cry. And I heard Spirit say, save yourself. So that is December 2019. From December 2019, knowing I had to save myself meant I had to get my health back because my health was a shit show. So I immediately, and it was, I committed, this wasn't like, oh, I feel like losing a little bit of weight. This was a survival story. If I didn't lose the weight, if I didn't cure the diabetes, if I didn't cure the fibromyalgia and all the other long, very long list of health conditions that I had, I wouldn't have been able to escape the marriage. And that was the goal. Is get myself healthy enough and well enough and stable enough so that I could extricate myself, so I could escape. In that time period, from December 2019 to, I'm going to say sometime in 2020, I asked for separation. He said, fine, we're separated. And we lived like roommates. And then, as per usual, over time, he wore me down. And I was like, still in the back of my mind, knowing I had to save myself. But, okay, I'm going to give this one more chance. Come around all the way to 2021. 2021, September, we're coming up on my 3-year anniversary. I had my Kundalini and I had my soul recognition on this twin flame situationship. That lit a fire in my ass to Spirit pushes, as the Kundalini, if you've had a Kundalini, it pushes out everything that no longer belongs in your life, not only on the inside physically, but on the emotional realm, the physical realm, and your 3D realm. And so it put so much pressure on me to take more action to get out of this situation. And because I was feeling love for another human being that wasn't my partner, and that didn't ethically sit well with me. And so I said, I need a divorce. December 2021. This needs to end. This needs to stop. I need a divorce. I want a divorce. Because in my mind, if I was in love with somebody else, that's it. That was the final nail in the coffin. I couldn't be in love with you anymore, and I needed to escape. It then took another 6 months or more to get him out of the house. He just simply wouldn't leave. As I said, they wear you down. They wear you down. They wait it out and wear you down. Why? So that you will forgive them. This whole stretch, finally, I lost my shit. in 2022, July, and said, get the fuck out of my house. And I meant it this time. And finally, I got him out of the house. But then what had happened? He's out of the house. You would think in a normal situation, you would go your separate ways. And I was deluded. It deluded into thinking that we could leave civilly. We could leave as friends. We could transmute this into something better. I had notions in my head of, doing some Gwyneth Paltrow conscious uncoupling. Because I am quick to forgive. And what ended up happening is my mother then passed away, and I was plummeted into a legal battle, and he used my vulnerabilities as I was in dark night of the soul. I was going through a tremendous amount of very complex grief. Grief of losing a parent that was abusive to you is a completely different type of grief than losing somebody who was kind to you. It requires a whole different bunch of processes. Plus, I've got trauma surfacing, and I've got memories surfacing, and I've got dark night of the soul coming in, and ego death, this, that, and the other. So I was very unstabilized. He used this as an opportunity to swing back in and do one more, attempt to destroy my brain by choosing that opportune moment to confess everything. To confess that he had never loved me and was in love with somebody else. And I felt empathy for him. I felt sorry for him because what a horrible situation. I felt empathy because I knew what it was like to love somebody that didn't love you back. And I felt nothing but empathy and forgiveness for him. I felt forgiveness for the fact that he admitted to abusing me. I felt forgiveness to the fact that he admitted to lying for over a decade. I felt forgiveness that he had all these traumas that he wished to share with me. I felt forgiveness that he chose to manipulate me, triangulate me, gaslight. I felt forgiveness. That was my first emotion. That was my first response, was forgiveness. On a dime, I felt forgiveness. What I didn't feel was anger. What I didn't feel was self-protection. What I didn't feel was get the fuck out of there and get yourself somewhere safe. No, his confession worked to pull me back in and hoover me more than I'd ever been hoovered before. All of a sudden, he's showing up in the nicest energy possible, opening car doors for me, taking me to doctor's appointments, driving me here and there, being the sweetest person, future faking, manipulating my mind after having a complete and utter breakdown. A complete breakdown. I was in spiritual crisis. This information broke my brain. I was a nervous wreck. And what did I do right away? I forgave him. So I want to come on today to talk about this because I think it's a very serious issue that needs to be addressed. This whole notion, it's very similar to bypassing to bliss. Forced forgiveness or pre-programmed forgiveness as a knee-jerk reaction or a knee-jerk response is not what forgiveness is about. And listen, we've all been indoctrinated from society, from religion, from spirituality. Forgive, forgive, forgive. Forgiveness comes after you have made yourself safe, you have made yourself protected in boundaries, you have done the healing work, you have expressed your rightful rage. Anger is a very natural response to abuse, but all of those emotions get shut down if you've been pre-programmed to jump from incident into forgiveness. So I wanted to talk about this so that it gave you some pause to think, am I in the cycle of immediate forgiveness? Because if you are in a cycle of immediate forgiveness, then you will find yourself trapped in a cycle of abuse. It took me another 6 months of being so hoovered and so loved bombed before I recognized certain signs were but this time I was like, I'm watching, I'm listening, I'm paying attention to everything because I had done so much research on covert narcissism and covert tactics of, hey, wait a second, I'm noticing cycles of like stress and saving, stress and saving, stress and saving. He'd stress me out with something and then save the day. I'm noticing cycles of chaos, of constant chaos. I'm noticing cycles of lying, of gaslighting. And so you become hyper aware after you educate yourself. So numero uno, if you believe that you are in a relationship that is toxic or narcissistic in any way, shape, or form, you need to watch probably close to, 150 videos on narcissism. I read multiple books on the topic, and I already thought that I was an expert because of my mother. I thought that I knew what narcissism was, but because narcissism shows up differently on different people, and there are multiple phases of narcissism. There's malignant narcissism. There's covert narcissism. There's vulnerable narcissism. There's, pretending that you're the best person in the world. I can't remember the name of this one, where you're showing up at volunteer opportunities with a camera at your back going, look at me, I'm feeding the homeless. Aren't I amazing? There's grandiose narcissism. There's all these different faces of narcissism, and then there's all these different tools that they use, all these different ploys to completely and utterly mangle your brain. So I was watching and watching and watching and watching and taking notes in my head and saying, okay, this isn't adding up, this isn't adding up. And when I caught him in a bold-faced lie, I went no contact. I finally went no contact. And that was last year, 2023. I started to try to get out of this in 2019. It took me to 2023 to be able to escape. And then boom, I went no contact. And it's necessary to go no contact if you have a knee-jerk impulse program that says forgive. Otherwise, you'll forgive and you'll take them back. No contact means no contact. And the first few months that I went no contact was torture. It can't be described as anything else, as the brain chemistry that had been hijacked for these highs and lows and highs and lows. And I'm going to do something to disappoint you, and then I'm going to do something to save you. And so you're getting pummeled with your brain chemistry of cortisol shots and dopamine shots, cortisol shots and dopamine shots. So it is like being addicted to a drug. Your brain, there's a Kesha song that says, your love is my drug. And that's exactly what it was, because abuse is not constant. Abuse, narcissistic abuse, is this feels good, this feels bad. This feels good, this feels bad. And that constant state of good, bad, keeps you immediately forgiving all the bad to get into the good as fast as you can. So when you go no contact, the brain chemistry has to have time to begin to regulate itself. And so I was following the advice of Dr. Romani. She has an amazing book called It's Not You. I highly recommend you get it. You can get it free on Spotify. That's where I found it. Otherwise, buy yourself a copy of that. Find her YouTube channel, Dr. Romani. Watch all of her podcasts. Educate yourself. Numero uno, educate yourself. And numero two, do not forgive. You cannot forgive. Yes, when you have done your year, and I'm coming up to my year anniversary of being free of this, and I can tell you that the recovery period of taking a full year is very, very necessary, because the highs and the lows that you will go through as your nervous system begins to relax, and your nervous system goes from like dorsal vagal is what they call it when you're in total shutdown, which is what I was. I was in total shutdown, total apathy, total like, I give up. I wave the white flag. Here's where are the antidepressants? Give me some of those. Whereas I was so numbed out. I look back at photographs of me from 2019 and I don't even recognize myself. I was so disassociated out of my body, in such ill health, in such a bad way, that I can't even begin to understand who that person is in those pictures. I was dead inside. I was absolutely dead inside. And so first you have to escape. And after you escape, you have to heal. And I'm not saying I'm healed, ED, but I'm certainly a million times better than where I was a year ago. So as this anniversary comes up of going no contact, and do keep in mind, I had to break no contact to get my divorce pushed through. So I saw him once on camera, but I have not seen him in person since September of last year. So it is necessary to not forgive. Forgiving, when you are raised to be codependent, when you are raised with the programming of the narcissistic energies within you as an empath, empaths are too quick to forgive. So the person you need to forgive is you for taking them back, for falling for it, for forgiving over and over and over again. So that's the person that you need to forgive. And then you give the issue. You don't want to hold on to bitterness. You give it to God. Give the rest of it to God. But do not forgive that person. Forgiving that person, standing in front of them and saying, I forgive you for what you did. And listen, on a soul level, I can forgive. I can still forgive. On a soul level, I can go, man, they played the baddie really bad in this lifetime, and they have a lot of karma that they need to do, and they had a lot of trauma. For anyone to be able to be that cruel and hurtful and consciously aware, okay, this is what we need to remember. This was the sealing, the element that sealed the fate for me, was the awareness. When they said the words, I was aware of what I did was wrong, and I did it anyways. Conscious awareness of cruelty to another human being is not forgivable. It is forgive to Godable. Forgive to Godable. Let God handle it. Do not ever think that because somebody had trauma, and because somebody has, you have empathy, an overabundance of empathy for the way that they were raised, that it is in any way, shape, or form your responsibility to forgive them, to heal them, to cure them. It is not. It is not. It is your responsibility to forgive yourself, to heal yourself, and to fix yourself. And whatever it is in you, such as that program of forgiveness, quick to forgive. So stop being quick to forgive. You need to fix that. That's what needs to be fixed. And hold your own self accountable to your safety, so that you are safe, so that you can live a life and be you again. Get in touch with you and figure out who you actually are, not who you are when your life is constantly in the control of somebody else. It's like being in a cult of one, and you need to escape from that. If you need help escaping from one of these situations, and you are struggling because society keeps and friends, family keep saying, just forgive them. come talk to me. And I will remind you that the only person that needs forgiveness is you. And the way to get in touch with me is in the description below. Let's set up a one-on-one Zoom call to help you find your way to freedom. With that said, I am sending you all my love and support, and anything else, please feel free to drop me a question or a comment. Thank you for all the likes, the shares, and the subscriptions. I really greatly appreciate this. I am very pleased to be coming upon my anniversary of no contact. And I think there should be chips for this as well. Just like in AA, I think I deserve a chip. So that day will be celebrated. That said, peace out.